Welcome back to the Trader Vision 2020 free trial video series. In today's video, we'll take a look at a user interview. You should note that in order for me to continue improving Trader Vision, I hold an ongoing series of interviews with users. In these sessions, we discuss the user's thoughts on new features they'd like to see added, changes they'd like to see made, as well as what's working well now, what should be left alone, etc. Today you'll get a glimpse of one such recent interview with our user George S. Please note that this interview lasted an hour and a half. In addition, there were some technical issues with the audio recording. For these reasons, I am providing only short excerpts of that interview today. Despite the less than optimal audio, George's opinions and perceptions are understandable and will more than suffice for this video. Also note that, as I said, it was an hour and a half long discussion. I don't want to mislead anyone into thinking this was an end-to-end session of flattery and praise. While George was very complimentary overall, he also made several great suggestions for improvements and changes. Some of these will be implemented in the very near future. So I just want to make that clear to avoid giving anybody the wrong impression. Specifically today we'll talk about George's background as a trader, his thoughts on planning trades, what he dealt with in controlling emotions and what he's found with Trader Vision, the idea of getting organized as a trader, and finally that George feels Trader Vision is a good teaching tool for him. After this, we'll come back and do a brief discussion of the next video in the series. So with that said, let's get started. George has traded in the past, but he had never had much success. For this reason, he stopped trading for quite a while. He resumed trading a couple months ago, and since then has found Trader Vision and become a user. In the past, George has had major issues with handling the emotions of trading, and he said he never felt comfortable with his trades. In fact, he went on to say that he spent all day glued to the monitor watching every tick, every penny of a trade. Let's hear what George has to say in his own words.
Well, as I emailed you, I have traded stocks. I was not very planned when I did this in the past. This Trader Vision is making me set up trades, that tell me my risk-reward ratio. I see it as being very important. I still have a lot to learn, but this tool that you've made is really, really good. There's some pretty positive things to be said about this platform that you've made here, and it's really good.
As we discussed planning of trades, George mentioned that he discovered the importance of the reward-risk ratio and the fact that finding support and resistance-based stops and targets was definitely helping him. He also talked about logical position sizing and how that helped him manage risk. Let's hear what George has to say.
I've never had a tool, much less a tool this well designed, to do something like this. I've read in the past about you need to make sure you have a good risk-reward ratio. But it's only been in the past month when I first watched Doug Campbell's video. And at the end of that, when he was talking about this platform, I just really became excited. Did okay in some regards, made money, but was not consistent by any means. There were a lot more losses than there were wins. Now, go to Trader Vision. It's forcing me to watch for this risk-reward ratio. I'm going to just expand this a little bit. So I see this number right here as being very important. So understanding where I need to put a stop loss in relation to my entry, and then finding if I got a chart that I'm comfortable with in identifying where that support and resistance is, that is key. In the past, if I were lucky enough to have an entry and a stop loss, I still wouldn't necessarily be calculating what my share volume should be. So this does it for you. This goes a step beyond. And I just think it's really sweet. I really like the way this whole thing works.
We talked about several factors that George has discovered from Trader Vision and how they're helping him control his emotions. Specifically, he talked about goals were helping him to find when to take profit, that the maximum loss position size was relieving a lot of the pressure, and that logical targets were helping him decide when to get out of a position without worrying that things will reverse and he'll lose all of his profits. And finally, he said that he's reached the point where he feels he can stop obsessing over every tick and he's reached a comfort level. But let's hear this in George's words.
Again, I can't tell you that this Trader Vision is tempering a lot of those emotions. So I am still going through a huge learning curve, but this tool is helping me out significantly. I just became more comfortable with my trading, knowing that my maximum dollar loss short of an overnight collapse, this makes me much more comfortable than where I was before. I became immediately less scared, less afraid of trading when I was able to identify my maximum dollar loss right here. $200 is what I put, okay? And based on the $200, it then determines how many shares I should buy. And I think that's very good. And of course, the number of shares you should buy depends on this and the stop loss and the entry. I see that as all being just very intelligently done. Before, when I was doing this trading, my eyes were glued to the stock and every penny, just about. It was fear. It was mostly fear than greed, but this really helps. So this, dialing in what I want my maximum loss to be, and then knowing what that is here in TradeView makes it a lot more comfortable when I know that, hey, look, here's $200. Well, that's very close to what this is going to show up if I use the appropriate number of shares. Well, you know what that does? That I know you know this, but for me, I'm telling you, it allows me to get up and walk away from the computer.
In a brief part of our discussion, George talked about getting organized, and specifically how he's dealing with a blizzard of paper as a trader all over his desk, and I'm sure we've all had that issue to relate with, and how tracking all of the details is just very labor intensive. So he was looking for a fast and easy way to get control of all this paper, all of this data, and be able to access it still, as well as be able to learn from his past performance. Let's hear what George has to say.
Yeah, I'm trying to put this all on paper, and I tell you, I got paper all over my desk and they get mixed up, and I just the other day I said, I need to get more organized on my desk here with my paper. Just because I'm writing things down, then it's a matter of where do I put it now that I've written it down. It's just a very good setup. I mean, I could probably do a spreadsheet that wouldn't be nowhere sophisticated as what you have here, but I could probably do something and plug and chug these numbers. But the fact that you guys already came up with this was perfect. This was a teaching tool as much as a tool that can keep you on the straight and narrow.
So, to give a summary, in Trader Vision we have planned financial goals that are then broken down into trade goals that help us control the emotions of a trade. Every trade is validated and planned in terms of its risk and rewards. We have that risk and reward measure as a way to help us manage a trade as well as the goals. It's a fast, organized, and very detailed approach to logging and journaling our trading, and this helps us learn from the past and continue to improve as we go forward. Let's hear one final comment from George.
Honestly, it just comes back to this Trader Vision 2020. It's just a great tool, and my hat's off to all of you there. I just feel like I want to be a part of this.
And there you have it. That's it for this video. I certainly can't top what George had to say in that last comment. In our next video, we'll get the perspective of a different user and what problems and challenges they were facing, as well as the solutions that they've found from Trader Vision, and just get a different perspective on how the tool works. So until next time, I want to thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to talking to you soon.